And before I do it, let me disclose that these pledges have been born out of a series of regional, national, and individual community shared and lived experiences and dreams. They form the basis of our commitments. From this rich tapestry of voices, 4 key human rights pledges emerged, which we firmly commit to implementing. 1, a national human rights policy and action plan. We pledge to develop a comprehensive national human rights policy and action plan dedicated to enhancing the realization and enjoyment of rights and fundamental freedoms for all Kenyans. 2, transitioning to clean energy. Recognizing our global responsibility, we pledge to achieve a complete transition to clean energy sources by 2030, contributing significantly to climate change mitigation efforts and sustainable development. 3rd, criminalizing enforced disappearances. We pledge to enact comprehensive domestic legislation that explicitly criminalizes enforced disappearances and establishes robust mechanisms for prevention, investigation, prosecution, and victim support. And finally, promoting social protection. We pledge to promote comprehensive social protection by fostering gender equality and safeguarding the rights of children, people living with disabilities, elderly persons, and all marginalized groups. As we commemorate this 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, let us rededicate ourselves to the pursuit of a just, equitable, and sustainable world for all. Thank you very much.
And neither of the above are possible without human rights. Agenda 2030 doesn't just recognize these inextricable linkages, it literally captures and encodes them and gives us a roadmap on how to deliver on the promise of all 3. Thank you. I hope that's not like the Oscars where they play music to, shoo you off. It probably is, but I'm nearly done. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals are firmly grounded in international human rights, law, and standards as the foundation for sustainable development. So let me, as I begin to wind up, quote briefly from the vision of the 2030 Agenda. Quotes, "We envisage a world of universal respect for human rights and human dignity, the rule of law, justice, equality, and non-discrimination, of respect for race, ethnicity, and cultural diversity, and of equal opportunity, permitting the full realization of human potential and contributing to shared prosperity. A just, equitable, tolerant, open, and socially inclusive world in which the needs of the most vulnerable are met." Now, who wouldn't want to live in a world like that? This formulation looks back to the Universal Declaration's own opening fundamental articles, which guarantee equality and non-discrimination, and it foregrounds the central pledge of the SDGs to leave no one behind. So friends, this is a critical moment in Kenya, in the region, and globally. We all know the 4 C's of the polycrisis: COVID, climate, conflict, the cost of living. The promotion and protection of human rights is vital to tackling these challenges, be they economic, developmental, environmental, or security related. And they are fundamental, these rights, to ensuring that all people can equally enjoy the freedoms set out in the Universal Declaration. On this 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it's time to recommit to its promise of freedom, equality, and justice for all, to its extraordinary insistence, and here again I quote, that recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. And so to stand up for human rights for all in order to achieve the promise of the SDGs by 2030, to ensure we leave no one behind, and that we build a just, fairer, and more sustainable world for us all. Asanteni sana.
Parliament is by itself a product of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If you look at our Parliament, there are two factors that promote that. One is Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that states that the will of the people should be the basis of the authority of government, making democracy the only form of government consistent with human rights, which is, again, the basis of the existence of our Parliament as a legislation. And then we're also empowered by Article 94 of our 2010 Constitution, which says the legislative authority of the Republic is derived from the people and at the national level is vested and exercised by Parliament. So Parliament is, in fact, the custodian of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And Parliament manifests itself through the diversity of the nation. It represents the will of the people and exercises the sovereignty of the people. So we as parliamentarians have that enormous responsibility to be able to protect, defend, and underpin the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Because without it, we wouldn't have the democratic rights and human rights that we enjoy now in our country. And if you look at our history, we have had a long history of a period of repressive governments. I myself was a refugee fleeing from this country in 1963 because of the region and the community that I came from. Over time, we have reformed. We have become a nation that respects international rules and regulations, adheres to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the rule of law. And here I am sitting as a member of Parliament. So we ourselves have been influenced by the existence of the United Nations Charter and the underpinning international human rights laws as proclaimed in the Universal Human Rights Declaration. And I think our job as parliamentarians is to legislate in an equitable, just manner, to produce legislations that are based on the foundation of human rights. And we are there to make sure that our government and our institutions also abide by and uphold our Constitution, which actually acknowledges the Universal Human Rights Declaration. And as such, I would say that Kenyan Parliament works very closely and is guided very closely by human rights, the human rights principles enshrined in the Universal Declarations.